First of all, thank you so much. I am so excited to present today the project that is very project which is advanced machine learning for personalized food recommendation. And I was part of the recent cohort that ended 2 weeks ago. And so I really enjoyed the classes that I had with Kay, Bijan, and other instructors as well. And the classes were very, very heavy, but at the same time, they were also very valuable. Each lesson was very important, and I think I really the most that I gained out of those classes and sessions was when I came prepared using and reading the pre-read material for the sessions. So I'll get you a little bit into what is the agenda that we will be discussing today. I'll be telling you a little bit about myself, what are the objectives that we're trying to do here, the research that I've done, and then a bit about the product goal, user persona recommendation model. And the main objective of today's session is just to actually prepare everyone here and make it more interactive. So if you do have any questions about why did I select this model over another, and if you do have any questions in general about the research and everything, please do feel free to drop the messages or even raise your hand, and then we can I don't know, maybe Jacqueline can help with that, and you can feel free and talk about this. All right, a little bit about myself. So I'm a product manager based in Dubai. I have experience working in e-commerce, fintech, working with private and governmental sectors here in the UAE, and yes, there is a huge time zone difference. So I think um, maybe a lot of people are in San Francisco or in Bay Area, and it's probably now like 9 p.m., 9 a.m. in the morning, and it's 8 a.m., 8 p.m. Over here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Okay, cool. And I am also the founder of Qissatek. Qissatek is an Arabic name for the word story, and I am currently building a startup as in for humanizing customer experience by helping product managers or by helping startups, providing them with fractional product management expertise, and more so for the digital transformation, helping them also build their MVP and ship them fast. I have spent some time in New York, and I also completed my master's degree in New York University in management and systems. So if we do have any New Yorkers here, please let's connect. That would be really awesome. My first experience to building a startup was actually in New York, and I built something called Food Swap, which is honestly a little bit about what you're going to learn a little bit about today. So Food Swap is something that I built, me and a team of 4 engineers and data scientists, and we were trying to build something that focuses on a critical health problem, which is making food application more tailored and personalized towards the nutritional goals that people have. All right, so oh, sorry, I don't know why the objectives here are not as expected. Okay. Uh, okay, the objectives here is to deliver personalized recommendation of the so what I'll be discussing, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a walkthrough of how I built the product requirement document, and I built it for the food recommendation system. So what we want to do is we want to deliver personalized recommendation for food, and this has to be aligning with the user and dietary preferences. Oh, sorry, just give me a second. I'm just trying to get the full view of this while still seeing my slides, because I can't seem to see my slides. Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can do that. Okay. So aligning with the user preferences, dietary restrictions, and historical behavior to enhance the user experience on food delivery apps. The system should dynamically adapt to varying user selections. And this is important to increase the user engagement and the order frequency by the customers. All right, next. When we are building product as product managers, we're focusing more on the story and the impact that we're trying to do. And so this is what I try to do in most of the products that I work on, which is focus on what is the impact that we're trying to build and what is the problem that I'm trying to solve. And here's a little bit about just in product management in general and how product managers do usually spend just more than 70% of their time ideally understanding the problem. And as much as it looks good in theory, but it's practically not how it's done. A lot of the time by product managers is done sometimes is spent on other tasks on the solution and how to be creative and project management and design. And this is what really takes out from the importance of having a product manager dedicated to solving the right problems and making the right impact. So 57% of analyzing data is on like top 3 skills. So what I mean, why am I bringing this up is that today is more than ever important to understand the data that we're working with and spending the time with engineers to understand what is it the data that we're looking for and help them and guide them. Because to be honest, I've worked with a lot of engineers and data scientists and business analysts, and they would need like very clear instructions on what is the problem and what is the outcome of the data that I'm looking for in order for them to actually provide me with the clean data that can help me make really good solid decisions. And 70%, 77% of user feedback is the most critical skill. So being close to your customers and understanding your customers is very important. And the other thing is that 82% of time is spent on continuous improvement and iteration. So I wrote this from consulting firms like McKinsey and others. This is the research that is spent by them. This is how product managers are spending their time. So let's look into what is it that I did in terms of research. So I looked into what is it that we're looking for in terms of like solving the problem. And the first thing is the inaccuracy of labels. So 70% of users using Grubhub order fast food or casual food, okay, often lacking healthy or clearly the clearly labeled options for those dietary needs. What do I mean by this? Of course, we do find when we go there the option for having vegan, vegetarian, healthy foods, but it's very generalized. And in today's age, we do have a lot of health problems that is not I want to say that is not addressed in the right way in these food delivery apps. And I'm going to bring it to you also very, very close, which is that a lot of the people today in just like in overday they can their life can change due to a change in their lifestyle or a health problem that they find out. And just a very small example and story from my life, which is just 2 weeks ago, I visited a friend, and she was living her life and made like and eating everything that she needs, and she was actually a food blogger. So she is invited usually to restaurants to try on food and post it over her social media. And one day, she went to the doctors and she had a lot of problems. And what they told her is that you have an autoimmune disease. Now you cannot eat anything that has gluten, anything that has dairy, anything that has nuts, and just a lot of different restrictions in and that was something that she knew in overnight. And she didn't know what to do. She didn't even find it helpful to go over these delivery apps and order food. So she had to actually order from customized meal plan type of restaurants where she tells them what is her problems and what is it that she can eat and what she cannot eat, and they would send her every day like her meals for the day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so this is such a huge problem that is not really addressed in the right way, because we think that, oh yeah, just knowing how many calories is there or knowing that it's vegan or not vegan is it, that's it. But there is far more health problems that is overlooked. So there's lack of clear allergen information. So I've done also like a little bit of research. So I've been in the US, so I know how to use like Grubhub, Uber Eats, and all these things. And I don't know how much they have changed, but I've done like more research on this. And I think that there's nothing that says like, okay, this has nuts. Not all of the labels are saying that. And that is usually the first main source of that, is because restaurants are not really identifying that. So there is a clear sense of like clear gap between what we show on the application and what is provided to us by the restaurants. So having the clear data is very important. But I think this is also the role of a product manager to actually detect if there is any gaps in the text that is being submitted by the restaurants that would affect the quality of the product information that helps the users to get the best out of it. There's also like really hopeless scrolling. And I know this because there's like an average 7 to 10 minutes, but I swear it can be even more than this when a user is spending it on not just seeing the differences or the options of the restaurants, but they would go from one app to another app to address the differences in prices, because sometimes there's also like the discounts, so they don't want to miss on that. But if they do have the option to find more personalized recommendation of food, that would definitely keep them and would save them also time and have them as loyal users to the application. All right, so the product goals that we're looking. By the way, guys, like, do you have any questions so far? Let me just take a look over the chat. I haven't looked at it yet. Okay, hey everyone, cool. All right, let me get back at it. When it comes to the product goals, there is an importance for personalized filtering system. So the first step is to label the data. The first step is to label the data, and for labeling the data, I think one of the things that is also very important is to understand based on what are we going to label it. Is it going to be labeling it based on cuisine, based on the timing of the restaurant when it is open to deliver. And what are some of the things? So once we do have the filtering of the data, like this is gluten free, this is diabetic, this is like a specific calorie range. This can be the first step for us to start with filtering and start filtering the food items on the menu. The second one is having efficient food recommendations. So I would say the less the merrier, and of course when you go on the food applications, there's like endless scrolling. So this would help with like the problem that we have with like endless scrolling. We would definitely like to show the top 10 that matches the requirements or the nutritional restrictions that is provided by the user. And this would really help with reducing the time of making the decision of which option I would like to go to. Accuracy of matching. So accuracy is one of the things that is very important when we're building our machine learning model, because once we understand the behavior of the user, this is automatically translated for us to bring it back and use it again. But of course, one of the risks that we need to look for is, for example, yes, the user might like, for example, Indian cuisine, and that person could be gluten likes or has a dietary restriction of gluten free. But that doesn't mean that every single time the user is going to come in, the first one or two options are going to be like Indian food like biryani or curry, because we need to really understand what is it that we're going to look into uh, for the dietary restriction and preferences. Okay, so this is when it comes to accuracy matching, and the last one is going to be seamless user experience. We need to look into the time between the order. So again, like this is also like to help save time for the users. What are some of the product non-goals? We're not looking at im improving, we're not looking at like increasing the number of orders. This is not the goal of the product. The goal of the product is to increase retention and user engagement and accuracy of matching. I would definitely look at accuracy of matching as probably the North Star metric for this product. All right. One of the things that is very they're very helpful with building product, and I want to say like over and over again, I have always found like Steve Jobs to be my number one inspiration when it comes to building products. I've seen that firsthand when I went outside the office and spent time as a secret buyer in or observer in the places where I would usually find my target audience. So this is one of the recommended approaches, um, and it I as much as spending time with data on the application sounds very fancy and lovely, and of course like that is something that is very important, but unless you spend time with the users on the ground and understanding their problems, you're never going to understand the the actual pain point that they have. Like, for example, I remember yesterday I went to a mini mart, and I had just like literally 5 to 10 minutes for me to quickly make a decision before I head to my next meeting. And I looked at all the options that is available in this huge mart, and I couldn't find something that would meet what I need. And so this is why also a lot of people are refraining from going to markets or going to like shopping, and they prefer shopping online because they can find everything from one touch. So why not make it easier also for people who have dietary restrictions to find food items easier? Here's an example of Sarah, and Sarah is in her early 30s. She works from office, I would say 4 to 5 times a day, 4 to 5 times a week. She's stressed at home. She's got a lot going on her plate. She's moving houses, and her office commute, it takes about 2 hours of her every day. So she's working 9 to 5, 2 hours. That means she's home by 8 or 9, and by that time she just needs to have food on her table, and she doesn't want to mess up, and she doesn't have time for her to make food because she doesn't know how to make food. She doesn't know how to cook. So, and she still wants to make healthy decisions, plus decisions that matches her dietary restriction. And in her case, she's allergic to gluten, so we cannot have gluten in her food. So if she wants to order, and we want to help her order her food and enhance her productivity and reduce her stress. Once we look at the user persona, there are a couple of pain points that I have looked over here. And if you do have more pain points, I would give you kind of like a minute here to add your thoughts. The first one is the overwhelming choices of options, restaurants, and nothing that really matches her dietary restriction of having like gluten free. Okay, even if she found something, like she can just filter, she can click the filter of gluten free, but still she would see like there's a lot of options, and then she would just keep scrolling, and lack of personalization. So she would go on these food apps, and there's like generic recommendation of like, hey, there is a discount on a burger. Would you like to have it? That is still not matching what she's looking for, and it is not personalized. I want to give a minute perhaps to the joiners here to add their thoughts. Oh, wait a second. Do you have any questions? Okay. All right. So I'm going to uh, continue, continue on my presentation. So the first thing that we need to look into is the hypothesis and risks. So the hypothesis is we need to help Sarah order food that is gluten-free within and save her time and make the decision of ordering her food within less than 5 minutes. So what are some of the risks that we need to keep in mind as product managers? First of all is sorry, just give me a second. Okay. So the first risk is the quality of the text data provided by restaurants. So and the quality here by the text, because we're going to provide them with the fields, usually like in the restaurant management system, which I've dealt with before. The restaurant management system is usually either maintained by someone who is, I want to say, at the cashier or the front end of the restaurant and taking orders, or by, I want to say, account manager of the restaurant that's part of our company. We can definitely train the account manager of the account managers within our company. But if we give the option for the restaurants to fill it in and they don't fill it accurately, then we're definitely going to have miss of information and data, and that is definitely going to affect the quality of the orders and affect the quality overall of the accuracy of matching. So this is the first risk. The second one is the differences of cuisine preferences by users. So when we are doing the matching, one of the things that could be, as I mentioned before, as a challenge is that if I ordered 2 times in a row Indian food, that doesn't mean that this is going to be my everyday choice. So there still needs to be a variety of options provided for the user for them to change. The last one is the labels instructions shared with the restaurants is not clear. As a product manager, if I do not share with them exactly what gluten-free means, because to be honest, I don't think that every restaurant it understands this, especially if they are not, if especially if not all of their food is under the healthy or unhealthy. They just have like, generally food. They don't care about calories. They don't care about this. They only care about quality, and this is what also the users care about. But if, for example, I ordered a kebab and I am not sure if it is gluten free or not, so I can definitely, have clear instructions to the restaurants and give them actual cases on what is gluten free and what is not. This will help the quality of the quality of the data provided by the restaurants. Okay. Yeah. So another pain point, not enough clarity on ingredients used in the dish. Definitely. I mean, this is something that requires actually more and more clarity by the restaurants. And I've actually seen it firsthand. Not all of the restaurants are willing to share the full ingredients, especially if they do have sometimes like special dishes or like um, you know, item food for the day, something like that. Okay. All right. So the model that we will be selecting here is the recommendation model, and there are two, I want to say, models that can be used here. One of them is the collaborative filtering. So again, first I started with filtering what are the gluten-free, diabetic, I want to say like other autoimmune diseases, and I want to say, yeah, other autoimmune diseases. Now here, I'm going to look into, okay, now I made the labels, I made the filters. Now what? Now I have to look at the options that I have provided here. And the options that I have provided here are collaborative filtering and content-based filter. And there's also a hybrid model that includes both of them. So let me walk you through what these two mean, because I don't know if some of you are familiar with it, but if not, then I can also give you a little bit of a hint. Okay, so collaborative filtering is based on two users or two group of users. We have group A and group B. And what it really means is that um, if a customer buys something, okay, and like group A, let's say they buy, I want to say like group A, I want to say 10 of them, they buy burgers and they like it, and these burgers are good, then the group B, it's going to be recommended to them to also order burgers. Now, what is this doing? First of all, things can go wrong here, especially if we are not looking at the collaborative filtering and we're not providing the right data that we need to have in the collaborative filtering. Um, the like to filter that group B have actually dietary restrictions. Okay, so this might overlap. So we need to have like a rule-based type of approach or model here. Okay, so this means that okay, even if group A buys burgers, if group B has dietary restrictions, then they cannot be recommended what group A is having. Okay, so this is the first challenge that you might face if we implement the collaborative filtering. The second one is the content-based filtering. So this approach examines the characteristics of the items users have expressed an interest and to recommend similar items. How can this be done? If you go on Netflix, which is like highly used by them, and a lot of people, for example, save that movie to watch it later, what ends up happening is that this is going to be something that is going to be recommended by by all of the users. Like, hey, like it's going to show up as one of the top movies, even if you did not really express an interest um, uh, in watching, for example, action movies. And I think this is really a very high algorithm that I think Netflix did a very, very good job. But in my case, for example, I'm not someone who watches like scary movies. So sometimes when I see like scary movies recommendation on Netflix, I'm like, why does that even exist? Okay, but this is because Netflix does provide like a hybrid model of machine learning. Okay. All right. So let me walk you about what is a hybrid system. A hybrid system, as you guys, let me just zoom in a little bit so that you guys can see. I think it's not really showing you a lot. All right. So in the hybrid system, we provide the data, and the input of the data is going to be based on specific labels and filters. And we have three types of knowledge-based recommender and content filter and collaborative filter. What is the knowledge-based recommender? The knowledge-based recommender is based on information that has previously been provided by the user. So if a user has from the beginning expressed their interest to have only gluten-free items recommended to them, then this is what they're going to see. And so after they have been combined, then there is a recommendation. And I would say that this is one of the best models that can be used. And I think Uber Eats is using something similar, and I'm going to actually explain that more in one of the cases that I have also here. But first, I do have a question for you. And the question is recommendation system rule-based or machine learning based? Um, I want to get some answers. I don't know if you can have a poll here or something. What can we do about it?
Yeah, feel free to leave your comments in the chat.
Nice.
I have
Okay,
lots of
so
people
I
typing
see.
ML.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that. I see that. Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna be very honest with you. So the answer is that it could be either or both. So it could be either rule-based or machine learning based. And most of the modern recommendation systems are predominantly machine learning based, of course, because it offers dynamic and it is, I want to say like it provides due to just like a huge amount of data, especially if we're talking about the case that I have just mentioned to you, we would need machine learning for sure. But I would still have like a little bit of hybrid to have some sort of the data or the labels to be under rule based. And the rule based system still exists, but they're very limited in the scope and flexibility. So I would probably use it in just if we go back here in the recommendation model to just use it for the collaborative filtering, and then I would come back and use machine learning to design the whole model. Here's a case by Uber Eats. So Uber Eats does employ the GCNs, and GCN stands for the graphic. What's it called? Sorry about this. Okay. Yeah. So yes, Uber Eats like graph conventional near what's it called? Sorry about this. Yeah, to power its recommendation engine by analyzing the interactions between users and restaurants. So what they're doing right now is that they're training these models on historical data, including the order patterns and ratings and delivery preferences. Um, but in the case that we go back to Sarah, or my friend, who happened to be that overnight, she suddenly has a lot of dietary restrictions. She cannot have dairy, she cannot have gluten, she cannot have other things. So in her case, this still overeats recommendation is going to fail her just because it is not capturing what are her needs. So it's going to take probably the recommendation here another 2 to 3 attempts by Sarah for her to say, oh, okay, I'm only ordering like I'm already just going to order like gluten free, already going to order just this, and based on this, we will be able to have higher accuracy. Uh, but Uber Eats did actually see a 12% improvement in the recommendation quality over previous systems that has been used. So this is basically what I'm looking into. And do you have any questions about the approach and the hybrid recommendation model that I have just shared?
Feel free to type any questions in the comment box.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, graph convolutional network. I still want to know what are some of the challenges that you think you might face when you're building this model. So if anyone would like to add their comments, just because like I'm one slide away from wrapping up.
We're also going to have a short 10-minute Q&A at the end, so anyone can ask questions at anything there.
Okay, amazing, amazing, amazing. So I'm going to just end it here and just tell you that if you're ready to like really explore opportunities as a product manager in Dubai, please join قصتك. This is a huge opportunity for you to become part of our community and really get to know about the startups that are here in the UAE and especially in the MENA region. But I want to say, like, I'm just focused on Dubai right now. And there are some of the very exciting tech events that are going to be happening in October and November. And if you want to stay in touch, please just participate and just join it. You can scan the QR code, or maybe you can just take a picture of it. And yeah. I'm very happy that I was able to be part of today's community session. And if you do have any questions, this is your time to ask questions.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Everyone, feel free to comment any question you like down below. You could also unmute yourself if you want to ask a question verbally.
And this is my LinkedIn, by the way. Let's connect if you're
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, you did such a good job. It was really interesting hearing you speak.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Again, anyone, do not be shy. Feel free to comment anything you like down below.
Hi, I have one question. Can I ask?
Of course.
Of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
Well, thank you, Lamis, for giving us this great presentation. I just have one quick question about how we collect the data, and then what are the manipulations that are required as a product manager? Does product manager need to go in and do the data manipulation themselves, or they are part of like a team of data scientists and data analysts working on data manipulations for building this kind of recommendation system?
Okay, so we have two questions, right? The first part of your question is what?
Basically, what's the data manipulation that is required, like collection of data, and then how what are the second step is data manipulation. The first step is data collection, like how you analyze like what kind of data that you will be requiring to build this recommendation system.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, like for the data collection that we're going to be having, it's going to be based on text. I would say like it's going to be based on text and also introducing later graphics or images. But at the beginning, I would focus only on the text that is provided by the restaurant that is coming from the content or the menu that has been filled previously by the restaurants or through the account managers. So that is going to be what is meant by as in the data collection. In terms of like data manipulation, I want to say like with data manipulation, there's like a lot of steps included here. But like what I would look into first of all is that is it going to be changeable? Like is this data or is the logic going to change? And I would say since it is going to have since the data is going to be changing due to the insights from the users, like for example, if a user today goes and selects, as I said, like multiple options of burgers, and suddenly overnight they have dietary restrictions, then these new data, these new user insights need to be incorporated into the data manipulation, and it's going to change the outcome that is going to be presented to the user. So I would say like it's also based on the content. Again, like we do have two types of content, but the first one we're going to start with is text, and the second one is going to be images.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, I think we have another question here from Corey. It says, I came in late, but are there examples of the UI for users to set preferences?
Okay, I haven't actually had like a design with me, but the ideal flow that I look at from the user journey perspective is that if just to capture the question correctly of the UI for users to set preferences, the users should be able to set preferences just like they do currently on the food applications. But Corey, what we were trying to say here, what we were trying to see here is that we want to first of all identify clearly what are the labels. So users, the accuracy of matching the user to the right food item means that if I'm looking for something that is dairy free, that does not have milk or yogurt in the food menu, then there should be a level of accuracy from the restaurant through the system before going on into the application. So I want to say like this is more of a work that is done internally before we do show it to the application, but a testament of the success of the accuracy of matching the user to their preferences goes back to the quality of the cases that has been tested, because there has to go like a lot of test cases to make sure that every single time the user changes their preferences, it still kind of matches their needs when it comes to dietary restrictions.
Awesome. That was a great answer. Does anyone have any other last minute questions? I
Ali,
see
go ahead.
Ali is raising their
Yes.
hand.
First of all, thank you very much. This was a great conversation. I appreciate that. A quick question. In terms of incorporating user feedback, what's your thought on that? Sometimes they add telemetry that you measure it automatically. Sometimes you actually have means that the user can provide feedback. Any thoughts, any examples on that? Thank you.
Perfect. 100%. So when I look into like the user feedback, I would say I'm gonna look first of all at two things. Is the user, for example, dropping out of the is the user going to drop out of the application while scrolling or while looking at the preferences? This is the first one. The second one that we can look into is that if they are saving or if they are liking the preferences that has been recommended by the system. So for that in the UI, it could be in the form of like or save for later or something like that. The third option is that they can, with the UI, they can select yes or no, and they can kind of like swipe to the next order or swipe to the next food item that most ideally kind of like matches what they're looking for. And so that is going to be our form of feedback. So two forms of feedback. It's either by is the user getting the accurate food item, and is the user joining us back, and how can they give us feedback? Like, for example, I know that a lot of people spend like, let's say, how do I say this? It's gonna be funny, but I'm gonna bring this example, like in dating apps, a lot of people kind of like swipe and like they might swipe and they're like, okay, we don't like it. And then suddenly you kind of like go out of options. And then it kind of like tells you, oh, okay, like what's going on? Like, do you need to change preferences? Do you want to like change what you're looking for? So one of the things that we can look into is that asking for feedback from customers when the user is running out of their top 10 recommended items. That's going to help us and the user to give us feedback directly on the spot. Does that answer your question, or were you looking for something more specific?
No, this was good. Thank you. Again, I
Okay,
was just
cool.
comparing direct user feedback
Mm.
and or having some kind of a telemetry involved to measure, as you said, how many complete the transaction, how many drop in the middle, so forth. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I see there are a couple of questions on the chat. Let me look into it.
Yes, we have around 10 minutes. So I think we have time for both.
Okay, how did you decide and prioritize the set of attributes choices to be displayed? Okay, and the second one is what KPI metrics. Okay, so all right, so let me start with Amrita. Amrita, do you want to ask your question? Just because I feel like I need a little bit more context here. Do you mind like asking the question? And
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. So basically, you show different options, right? Lactose-free, gluten-free, whatever, right? Vegetarian and all of those, right? There are so many nut-free. There are so many attributes. So how did you decide? How did you collect all of those to be displayed? Like, how did you prioritize? How did you start with that exercise?
When you say like how do I prioritize or collect them, do you mean this process that goes from collecting or gathering the data from the restaurants or for the user?
Not gathering. You tell the restaurants, okay, you need to give me information about whether this is lactose-free, gluten-free, and all of that, right?
Okay.
So how do you compile that list?
Okay, perfect. So I want to say like I haven't really thought much about how I'm going to do that. This is like a very good question for me to think more about in terms of like how would I prioritize? I would say the most important thing is understanding the user's dietary restrictions and the user behavior in terms of like what is the accuracy that they're looking for. But I haven't looked at like what would I prioritize, because a user can be lactose intolerant, gluten free, and other things at the same time. And how would you think about it, Amrita? Like, do you have something in mind that you can share with us?
I don't know. I mean, taking the example of your friend, right?
Yeah.
She used to use DoorDash and Grubhub or whatsoever those apps a lot prior, and then she figured out that she has some health issues, and she needs to go with some tailored solution, right? So
Mm,
I don't know. At the top of the mind, I can just think of lactose-free, gluten-free, nut-free because that is something all of us know. But is there something else to this that we need to think about? Let's say she went to a doctor and she got a diagnosis. Okay, this is what she has, and these are the set
mm,
of things which she cannot consume. And does she have a list of those which we can use, as for our information, our repository? And do we need to find that population of people who have these kind of restriction and then compile a list out of all of them is something I can probably think of.
mm. Well, there is a lot of work that I think needs to be done in what you just mentioned. And the most important thing is just to kind of really, I would say, like, a lot of the food delivery apps, they have somehow the recommendation system and the hybrid model, but not in terms of accuracy in the food in the food restrictions and dietary restrictions as well. So I would definitely look into more of that. So I'll keep that on the side for me to actually think about it more. But thank you for the question.
Cool.
I have another question. What are the KPI metrics to track the success metrics? Great. So the first thing that I mentioned here is the goals and non-goals. For the goals, we had the accuracy of matching the food items to the users. And what is a non-goal? And that is something that Kate taught us in the sessions, which is that a lot of product managers, they overlook the power of setting out the non-goals. And the reason is that when you are not sure about what your non-goals is, you're going to be swamped with a lot of products. So I usually look at, like, what is my North Star metric? And beneath it, there are other core metrics that contribute to the overall North Star metric. And in our case is accuracy of matching the food item to a user within a specific time limit, let's say 5 minutes. It can be more, but more so, I want to say the accuracy, and is the user coming back to the application to order again? Because the more that users order, the more insights that we have about their behavior, and the more that we provide them with better quality of food recommendation. So this is the first and the most important metric that I look into. All right. Okay, I think we have one more question. Time for one more question, right?
Yes, we have time. Yeah.
Awesome. As an AI PM, do we suggest the hybrid systems to be used? Example, collaborative filtering, content-based, or is this something that gets done by collaborating with data scientists and engineering? How would you share these in the form of requirements? Okay, so I think there are two. Okay, so these are two different questions. When it comes to recommendation, of course, you would definitely need to have an understanding of what is there in the market. Just like I've researched what has Uber Eats done. So I've looked at, like, what Uber Eats has done, what has Grubhub done. These are, like, one of the top players of food delivery apps in the States. But if you ask me, for example, like, what is one of the top food players here in the UAE, then I'm going to tell you Talabat and Deliveroo. So we don't have even Uber Eats as one of the top players here in the Middle East. So when you look into working with data scientists and engineers, they are the ones who are supposed to recommend you what is the model that they would work with. Why would I say this? First of all, every data scientist in teams, they're going to have different capabilities and I want to say uh, uh, preferences of what they worked on before and what they think is successful, or what they have built and they think they are comfortable of building. The main reason I'm saying this is because our role as product managers is to have the right research, the right problem statement, the right understanding of how the technology is supposed to work, and the results that we're looking for, that we're looking to get, and the outcome. But our role is not, our role is not about like telling the product managers this is what you can do. Telling the engineers like this is what you can do, this is what you cannot do. So this is something that I think it's very it's crucial. It's crucial for us to understand that as product managers, because as much as we say like, oh, we think this is a better option or anything, at the end of the day, it's a collaborative work between the team to make that decision. All right, and I think there was another question. Okay, let me check.
Do we have any more questions?
Oh, I think there was a part 2 for the question.
Okay, yeah, no, we have time. We have 5 minutes left.
Yeah, how would you share these in the form of requirements? I would still, in the form of requirements, when it comes to like the model. First of all, gathering the data, understanding having labeling and structuring the data. So if the data is unstructured, you need to look at like, are we going to use like a structured or unstructured data? In our case, we're going to be using actually 2 types, the unstructured data and structured data. Why am I saying this? Because the structured data, they're going to be in the form of the label, but the unstructured data can also mean, for example, that if there is mention in the ingredients that has been mentioned in the food item that there is milk, then automatically, for example, if it has not been given a label, then it will be assigned a label that it has like lactose with it, something like that. So this is how I look at it in terms of like structuring the data and providing it to the engineers, and then based on that you can get the overall result. So that's it from my side. But these are all very valid questions. I would like to speak to you guys more about it whenever you do have time. You can connect with me over my LinkedIn. If you haven't yet, I'll just share it with you again, just so that you guys can have connect with me. I'll share probably the link directly in the chat, and we can talk over. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I really enjoyed the session.
Yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. You did such a great job. And thank you to everyone who took the time out of your day to come. I did put a link in our chat to our cohort program. So if you have any questions, comments, visit the link and everything will be there for you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.